which doesn't sound like a lot, but for the worst team in history, it's not that bad. It was, especially, the Mets didn't just play bad teams. It must be the worst of the worst teams. And they were close games, too. Like, they were, Pete Alonso had a bunch of home runs to bring us back games against the Marlins. So it was definitely easy to say. But, the Mets then came, and that it looked like it. It looked like the Mets were just feasting off easy teams. The Mets were down, 6-3. I was at my friend's house, and he had a bunch of people over, and me and him everyone had left, and it was just me and him. We're just watching the Met game, and Turner scored off a what do you call it? Off a ball behind the plate. I was like, oh, he gotta be, he gotta be kidding me. And then I was like, Paulie, the game's, and we were both mad. And he's like, all right, the game's over, and I was like, yeah, I go Paulie. His name is Paulie. And I go Paulie. The game's not over. I've always been that type of guy. The game's not over. We still got time. And then, and as that, my dad comes picks me up, and we're on the way home. And we put on the game in the car, and then Harry Rose with his phenomenal calls. Calls the Todd Frazier home run, which is absolutely spectacular. And me and my dad are going nuts in the car, and my friend, he FaceTimes me. He's like, Frazier, home run! And we were going crazy, and then we went home, and then as Conforto got the hit, we were walking in. So we walked in, the game was already on, and Conforto got the hit, and we walked it off. So that was and then the next day we went to the game, same friends. And and then that was another phenomenal game. If the Mets would have swept, if the Mets would have swept the Nationals, that would have been even better, obviously. But just a win in that series, I think, has proved to the rest of baseball the Mets are free. That wasn't a fluke. The Mets just beat another team who's very hot right now, the Washington Nationals. For some reason, Sean Doolittle cannot pitch against the Mets. It is just not his blood. He's allowed, 10 runs or 10 or 11 runs against the Mets and 9 against every single other team. It's crazy. He's a good pitcher. He's definitely he's in a very above average relief pitcher. But some guys have that team kryptonite, as some players do good against other teams. Acuna does, the MLB just posted on Instagram, Acuna is very good against the Mets. But on the same hand, there's also guys that do terrible against, certain teams. And apparently Sean Doolittle and the Mets it never works out for him. For the Mets, it works out. For Sean Doolittle, on the other hand, not so much. And a lot of those games, it was also, a lot of those games that the Mets played were tight. Like I said, I played the whole thing in Alonso. But, and people were just, riding us off that we were just beating up against teams. But this series against Atlanta is crucial. I did not expect the Mets to sweep Atlanta. All I wanted was the Mets to win a game. I just need the Mets to win a game against Atlanta, because we're already now 3 games back. The Mets, we're above 500 team, which is great. But, we beat Atlanta tonight, which would be great. We take one game against the division team, which is always good. Even though we lost the series, it's not what you want, but you'll take it against a team like Atlanta, winning 1 game out of 3. You'll take it. When you could definitely win 2, but again, I think Callaway. That you can make that call. You can take him out, and you cannot. You can honestly do that either way. Altera, on the other hand, putting him in was not a good call. Quick brain fart. Sorry about that. I do. What was I talking about? I just had the biggest brain fart. I don't know what I was talking about. I genuinely forgot what I was talking about 30 seconds ago. I don't remember. Okay. We'll resume our conversation. The Mets needed to win. There you go. I finally remembered. The Mets with the series against Atlanta. You gotta, it's not what you want. Take one out of 3 against a division rival, especially being a wild card race, but you just gotta. The only teams I see as competition for the Mets, for the wild card, I don't think St. Louis is playing better than they actually are. The only teams I see is Milwaukee and Philadelphia. It's real problems. So when we play Philadelphia, we gotta knock this house down. I love how the Mets, the NL East is full of rivalries. The Phillies and Braves rivalry is dated back, or the Phillies, Mets, Braves. It's almost like this love triangle. They've always had a rivalry, all 3 of them together. Each team hates the other 2, and then Washington came in, and then especially in 2015, and then in 2016, and now this year, I feel like Washington and Mets have definitely. The Mets and the Nationals definitely have a rivalry. There is something brewing. With Daniel Murphy, when he left to join them, it was like he pulled the Kevin Durant. You guys ever? Him signing with the Nationals did not get enough coverage that it actually deserved. He signed with the division rival after just helping his teammates in the National League, and he won the championship series. Daniel Murphy was the image of that 2015 run. It wasn't David Wright. It wasn't Cespedes. It was Murphy. Besides Marcelo Colon was the big sexy. He was the image of that run. Coming out of the bullpen, being great, like he always do. But Mickey Callaway, Daniel Murphy was, he represented everything about the Mets. He out of nowhere burst onto the scene in the division series, and then just out of nowhere. I think I remember, I went to the one game he didn't hit a home run in. He hit a home run in the NLDS. I believe he won NLDS game 2, and then he didn't hit 1 in 3, and then 4 and 5 he started the streak because he hit 1 in 2. He didn't hit 1 in 3, and then because he hit a home run in 6 straight postseason games, and then he hit 1. He didn't hit 1 in 3, and then 4 and 5 in the NLDS he did, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 in the NLCS because the Mets went to the Cubs. He did. Mets went on to the World Series, which we're not going to talk about. We're not gonna. Excuse me. We're not going to start about the Mets. I wonder what the score of the Met game is right now. Obviously we have Stroman on the mound. It'll be interesting to see how, this is the first time for, it'll be interesting how Josh Donaldson attacks his former teammate. A little bit how maybe if he can help some of the other Braves, the younger Braves like Acuna and Albies and Swanson. See how he reacts to pitching against Stroman. Because he's coming from the American to the National League, so he's facing a bunch of new teams. As he learns the hitters learn him. So that's definitely an interesting sight to see. And I think Stroman has the stuff to be very good. Stroman has the stuff to be extremely good. I also didn't realize how small he was on TV. I was watching one of the games against Washington, and he was really small. He was really short, and I didn't realize how short he was until if you look at his height, he's not small. I'm tall. I'm 5'10", and he's taller than me. But I feel like if I was on TV, I'd look taller than him. I think he's very compact. All of his, I don't know, there's something about him. It makes him look really small. I don't know why. I believe he's 6'1". Don't fact check me on that. Yeah, I know what's wrong. So, as definitely once the Mets traded for Marcus Stroman, there was talk about him. If they have the best rotation in baseball, and I've seen a lot of talk about, and the Astros also acquired Greinke. Those were the two big pitching moves, at least, and also Bauer too. But those are the two big pitching transactions of the trade deadline. People were talking about, is this rotation? Excuse me, I keep on yawning. I've been out all day. I'm sorry about that, guys. People have been comparing the Houston Astros rotation to the '90s Braves, and if none of you guys know what the '90s Braves rotation was, it was John Smoltz, Tom Glavine, and Maddox. Yeah, Maddox. I'm blanking on his first name. Tom Glavine ended up, he was actually Met, and he pitched, it was 2007 or 2008, he pitched a game 163 for the New York Mets against the Marlins, and that didn't go too well, as some Mets fans remember. I believe it was 2008, he pitched Tom Glavine, and I think the 90s Braves, I think that rotate, sorry, I keep on blanking out, I think that 90s rotation, the Braves were referred to as the team of the 90s because of how good their rotation was. Because they literally just traded Cy Young winners, Glavine, Schmaltz, and Maddox. If Glavine didn't win it, Schmaltz won it. And if Schmaltz didn't win it, Maddox won it. And if Maddox didn't win it, Glavine won it. The Houston Astros was definitely one of the best rotations of all time. I think the Mets currently have one of the best rotations of all time. You have the three-headed beast of DeGrom, Syndergaard, and Stroman, obviously, and you also have Wheeler and Matz, two studs at the back of your rotation. People, I feel like, imagine, what I see is imagine if the Astros kept Charlie Morton, how good they would be. Currently they have the top three in polls for AL Cy Young is, excuse me, guys, I'm so sorry. It is Justin Verlander's number one, Garrett Cole is number two. I feel like Garrett Cole is extremely overrated just because he strikes out a lot of people. Verlander, on the other hand, is an absolute beast. And then Charlie Morton is number three for the Rays. I think Morton deserves it because that's just me. I don't think Cole deserves to be even top three at all. I think another guy in the AL, I think Verlander could win it. I think Morton should win it. Another guy I like, who do I like? I think Greinke. Now that maybe he's in maybe that he's in Houston will get more recognition, but he's having a phenomenal year. I think Greinke should win it. And like I said, Greinke, another guy who's on the Astros. People are saying, is this the best rotation of all time? I don't think it is, because they really the back end of the rotation is a question mark. I feel like, why aren't the Mets in this conversation for being better than, for being as good as them? And also, I want to ask you Mets fans questions. Which rotation is better? The one that we have now? So that would be DeGrom, Stroman, Syndergaard, Wheeler, Matz? Or Harvey, DeGrom, Syndergaard, I'm blanking again, Syndergaard, Matz, Cologne. I can understand why people, I feel like 2015, Harvey was phenomenal. I feel like, though, the Mets have a much deeper rotation this time. Matz has had a bounce-back year. Wheeler's having a good year. Syndergaard, Stroman, and DeGrom are all having good years. DeGrom's third in Cy Young voting. So I wouldn't be surprised if... I also wouldn't be surprised if DeGrom moves up to number two or even has a chance of winning. Actually, no, he doesn't have a chance of winning it because Hyun-Jin Ryu is... I would be shocked if he doesn't win it. Unless he has, a dramatic fall from grace. And then Scherzer or DeGrom just pitches phenomenally. The only way he can win. But Hyun-Jin Ryu is going to win it. He's having a phenomenal year. Props to him. So I think he'll win it. And then for the AL, like I said, I think Greinke should definitely be in the talk. I think Morton should win it. But if Morton doesn't win it, I think it should be